Hi, you're listening to John Paul Kamath on computerweekly.com, where you can download and listen to leading podcasts on technology and management. What makes a good IT manager these days?
I think it's somebody that is a good business person first and a good technologist second, because today's criteria for a successful IT manager or successful chief information officer or CTO is really about how much business value can you create. And it's moved from a cost center to a value-add competitive advantage. And I think that it's the IT managers that understand enough about the business to be able to introduce technology in a thoughtful way that can help change and revolutionize business. Every CEO wants to know four things. How do you save me time? How do you save me money? How do you make me more productive? And how do you help me grow my business? And those are the four things, again, from a lens standpoint, that a CIO who has a good business understanding can map the technology and the solutions to helping create that kind of value for a company.
You were at Walmart before, and now you're at Microsoft. What do you put your success down to in IT?
I think that I've just been fortunate to work with great teams and great people. So, I like to focus less on the me part and more on the we part.
If you were giving career advice to, say, an IT manager who's possibly working at a very low level at the moment and he was looking to maybe advance himself, what advice would you give him?
People ask me a lot, what does it take to be successful in the marketplace? And one of the things that I come back to is people who habitually do more than they're asked to do generally do really well. And I think making sure that you have the dynamic of it's more about getting things done with and through other people than physically driving them yourself, I think is an important aspect of that. And so those would be two things. Stay focused on the team, stay focused on how do you help the team's success and what can you do to contribute there, and making sure that you habitually do more than you're asked to do.
You have to be good at selling your successes in the company. Is there any ways that IT managers should go about really shouting about the achievements they make?
I don't subscribe to being a great PR person internally. I generally would like customers to do the talking. So if I'm giving advice to a CIO, it's more about, make your customer the heroes, make your developers the heroes, and let your successes speak for themselves, and you too then will get the credit. People know where it comes from. But when you create that value, you can really change a company. And that it's hard, but that is the area that I think the CIO is in the best vantage point of any company to really change the game and really have a breakthrough idea with technology to enable a business to do something they didn't think they could do otherwise.
When you're hiring employees to work at Microsoft, what personal qualities do you look for in a candidate?
The first thing I like to do, because I interview several people a month, and there's several things I work through from a thought process standpoint. The first thing I work through is if I'm interviewing somebody who's going to be a manager or a supervisor, I end the interview before I check the box, would I hire this person, yes or no, with a simple question. The question is, would I enjoy working for this person? And if the answer is no, then I'm always a no on the hire. If the answer is yes, then generally I'll work through a set of criteria that works through this is what kind of culture, how would they adapt to the culture? Is there integrity? Are they inventive? Are they innovative? And so there's a set of those things that I would work through and think about how successful they could be. But it ends with, would I want to work for this person? Because I shouldn't put a manager in our organization that I personally wouldn't feel good about working for.
We all need mentors in our working life. What does Microsoft do to encourage this practice? How many people do you mentor personally, for example?
I think that we have a great culture that allows for free-flowing of mentees and mentors. And I have several dozen that I informally and formally mentor. And then there's another collective number that they get mentoring whether they're my mentee or not. So there's quite a number of those that happen. And look, nothing of significance is ever done alone. All of us need mentors. All of us need role models. All of us need people that we can learn something from. The key thing that you try to encourage people that you're mentoring, though, is be authentic. Don't try to be somebody you're not. Don't emulate somebody you're not. But take the best of that person and figure out how you internalize that to become the best person you can be. Because each one of us has something to offer that no one else can offer. And how do you find that? And how do you spark that is really what I try to focus on.
So what would you say has been the hardest lesson you've learned in your career, and how has that made you a better manager?
I think the hardest lesson for me as a manager is simply that whatever helped you become successful to get to one level generally doesn't serve you well to get to the next level. And let me give you a description. All of us that start out in business generally get rewarded, generally get promoted, generally get recognized and appreciated based off of our individual contribution. And then someone generally comes along and says, hey, I'd like you to manage this small group. And so those attributes that you used where you were driving everything and you were in charge of everything generally don't serve you well when you get a team of 10 or 15 people. When you go from a team of 10 or 15 people and you take on a team of 200, what served you well to manage the 10 or 15 will not serve you well to manage the 200. So an interesting part of my progression as a leader, it's been to give up those things that worked really well, that served me well in the last job, generally don't serve you that well in the next job. And that's a hard lesson. It has been for me to basically learn. You have to have a level of humility. None of us have all the answers. None of us have it all figured out. And leadership, I firmly believe, is not a destination. It's a journey.
That sounds a good way to end the interview. Kevin, thanks very much for your time.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.